Okay, so good to have you, my brother. I think not long ago I mentioned to you that we are looking to understand whether the ASGM sector have the capacity to access finance, and then
Yeah.
how can this be properly done in a fashionable manner.
Come again.
How can this be properly done? It will be open not just to people within just your banking area. Now, I mean, looking through, we feel that Amenfi is one of the banks that, apart from the solid nature of your assets, we have a feeling that bulk of the ASGM activities happen within the areas of your operation, and we just want to understand certain things. So to go straight on this project, are there any specific products that is tailored for ASGM sector at your bank?
Not exactly specifically for ASGM. Yeah.
Okay.
But they
Go ahead, please. Yeah, sorry.
do access other, general credit facilities that are available for SMEs.
Okay.
So
Okay.
if there are loans for any SME, they could also access that.
Okay.
But they don't have something tailor-made specifically for that sector.
Okay. So because you don't have, then it means you don't even advertise
No.
about it. Okay.
No.
Okay. All right. Moving forward, what criteria do you use in your risk assessment process?
Okay, so basically, getting to understand the risk is the main reason why we've not been able to tailor-make something specifically for that group, because the inherent risks in their business have not been properly understood by us. There are various groups that are working in that sector. They are the people who are mining, they are the people who are buying, there are people who are providing equipment and tools and those support materials to them. And there are the other peripheral, workers, the food vendors, and
So the value chain. You look at the value chain.
So we deal with each group differently.
Okay.
For those who are buying, these are largely the people that we deal with. We don't do much with those who are mining. But those who are buying, we are able to provide short-term funding because we are able to access the volumes that they handle. Largely, they give us an idea the volumes that are trading within that space. They are able to demonstrate how much cash flow that moves around them. And then they need to provide us some collateral to back whatever that we are lending to them. And then we give them money. So it's basically a trading fund. So they trade and then they put the money back and they pick it the next time and they trade and put it back. That kind of circle.
Okay. So if I understand, let's say if the buyers, a gold buyer, come to you and provide enough collateral and tell you, I'm actually going to use this money to go buy gold or to on lend to support gold activities, that one you don't have a problem. You can just deal with that third party so long as they will comply with the term sheet that you have given them.
So the collateral itself is not so much the reason why we give out. But the more reason is the fact that the person is able to demonstrate that he can handle this volume of trade. So, for example, recently, yeah, I mean, we struggled coming along with a young guy who wanted 500,000, right, to put into his gold buying business. But after running with him for basically less than 2 months, and we look at the volume that he's turning around, we are now committed to do like 2 million for him.
Okay.
Because now you see the cash flow is there. The only thing is to keep your eye on what he's doing so that the cash flow will turn out every time.
Yeah.
You know, and the 2 million, he's not able to back it with collateral. But then some level of collateral and with the volumes that can be tracked, we are kind of comfortable to come along because a local guy, and you can see that he's with the miners and he's getting the goods and he's turning around the money quickly. So the risk assessment is varied. It depends on so many circumstances. From our end, we are much more interested in the cash generation and how the cash flow can be tracked so that there are no leakages elsewhere. So if you know that you are trading, let's say, 1 million of gold a day, and then the money is not coming to the bank, it just tells us that you may have invested the money into something else. Either you are mining yourself, you are buying equipment or something, so the money is no longer coming. So that's one, irrespective of the collateral, will be closing down on you.
Okay.
But so the risk assessment is not like something one straightforward thing, because it's largely informal, and if you want to follow documentation strictly with risk assessment, you end up not giving money to anybody.
Okay.
So we kind of calculate and then move along.
Okay.
We also do a bit with equipment financing.
Okay.
So we bought a couple of excavators for some of them. Some actually buy not on their own merits for rental to miners. Others also have their own concessions, and they come to say that they need this assistance to be able to do their projects, considering that the rental is quite expensive on them. So if you give them a time, they are able to work to pay back.
Okay.
So a couple of those things we do.
Okay, good. Quickly, so do you have personnel with expertise in doing some of these appraisals?
Not specifically like a train somebody to do this appraisal, but our credit officers, because they have worked in this environment with these people for some time, we kind of understand what they do. You know, so for example, there's a miner in our area. We bought the third excavator for. We go to his site, we see his production line. We don't have technical, geological, and all that expertise. But then, given what he has there and the cash flow that he generates on every week, and you are confident that he can handle it. So we kind of come along, but we haven't acquired technically what is the number of years you can mine here, what is the density of this, what is the volume of, no, those kind of technical analysis we don't do as of now.
So looking at the nature of your operations and the proximity in which you find these operators, are you thinking that in the future you might even recruit a mining engineer or somebody with mining expert, and you would train him with that skill so that you can even have a specific desk for providing that unique services? Is this something you've thought of? This is not part of the questions I'm supposed to ask you, but because it just came up to my mind.
Leading to,
Yeah.
Actually, there was a collaboration that we were doing. We've tried, we've attempted working on some collaboration. We think collaboration with somebody who is already knowledgeable and understand that would be much better. We don't want to take on ourselves things that are too technical for us to handle. So we've tried working with one company to the extent that if the discussion goes through successfully, we are going to manage the entire process from funding for equipment to mining to buying the product, to holding the gold, to transporting the gold, and all those things. So it's something that we're working on. Actually, it started with us last year. Along the line, we realized that we needed a Bank of Ghana approval to continue, because it's like a product that is a bit separate or different from what we are licensed to do. Okay. So we needed a Bank of Ghana approval because they also wanted to work with other rural banks in the mining communities. We took the conversation to the Apex Bank. It's gone a bit far, and then Apex is working to seek an approval. So
then this will be like you are going to do a gold trading or a gold storage. What would be the name for it?
Sure. So we're going to do like a gold trading. In that case, we will have all the professionals within the banking space who will be able to, work, understand all this, and really give an advice. Even if somebody brought a good, what shows that is a good. So you would need the technical expertise. You need a metallurgist. You need some equipment. You need all of that. So it's all part of the conversation. That's so when you have that kind of loop, you are confident to lend to anybody, because then you know where the good is being generated from, where it's going to be bought. You are part of the partnership, you are part of the system. You know what the volume that is coming to, you know when the person will be paid, how it will be paid, is going to come through an account. So if you are lending on the back of that, it's pretty cool. And then if the volumes are high, of course it's going to be high, then you would need some additional support in terms of funding in a certain loop that can support all of this.
Okay.
Somewhere 2 years ago, we started a conversation with this organization. I've forgotten the names more. I'll remember and tell you. They also introduced their partners from Europe who were interested in ensuring sustainable mining. And they said they had some funding that they wanted to give to some selected miners who are doing sustainable mining. And they wanted to rope us in. So we had that conversation, but they had equipment partners abroad that they were going to supply the equipment to the miners, and the miners were supposed to pay through the bank and all of that. But from our experience, we realized that it was going to be difficult, because we've done similar partnership with in the cocoa industry before, where particular cocoa inputs were sourced and given to farmers that as loans that farmers were supposed to pay back. At the end, the farmers came as like this equipment failed, this input failed, as it wasn't the one that was good for the land, for this area, blah, blah, blah. So I told them that if you contract an equipment partner and he's bringing a particular equipment, say a particular excavator, a particular good washer, or a particular good catcher and you said that everybody should subscribe to that, if they don't get what they want out of it, they will come and say that the equipment didn't work for them. But if you will provide the funding, we can do a wholesale lending, or we can do an on-lending arrangement, so that we have, let's say we have a $10 million fund. So you borrow from the fund. Of course, you follow through what you are using the fund for, whether for equipment or for any other thing that they need money for. Then you pay back. So in that case, you are sourcing money and then you follow through the money. In the process, we have a buyer, a very big buyer who is going to be in the middle. So the arrangement is that once you source the money from us and use for this particular thing, your good will also be purchased by this buyer. Of course, with an open market, you will understand whether you are getting a good deal or whatever. And so you have all of that in the loop, so that from the fund owner, you get to the bank, you source the money from the bank, you sell to this buyer. The buyer pays you through the bank. You take your part, you leave the part that is servicing the loan, and then it goes and goes, and anybody can access that loan, because it will be a $10 million loan that is circulating among the mining organization, mining small scale or artisanal mining area. So all those conversations have been done, but it hasn't really come true. So what we are doing is our own own funding that we are doing small along. So if you have an arrangement where all these conversations can be done, so that we also have a reliable funding source, that won't be too expensive, because look, we are lending the Ghana reference rate is 31.35%. So if a bank puts a maximum margin of 5%, let's say 3 to 5% on that, we are talking about between 34 to 37%. So if ASM person has to take loan at that rate, I mean, how can they pay? So you need some kind of concession around this if you really want to get this done. And so you're not really pricing commercially. For example, if you look at what MasterCard Foundation is doing, saying that we're giving some money out, is targeting women in entrepreneurship, women in business, women-led businesses, is targeting, let's say, agriculture, value chain financing. And so we're giving it to you at 10%. Don't lend beyond 20%. So the bank can manage its raise and its margins all within 10%, and make sure that it gets to the business person at 20%. That compares to business person taking at 34, 33, 37%. Who would do well? So I think that the ASM sector, if you want sustainability, we should be looking out for some kind of funding of that sort, that is deliberate, that is targeting, and that has rules around it. Because like the MasterCard one I'm talking about, because it's concessionally and it's targeting, it also has conditions. So what you can use the money for, what you cannot use for, the number of jobs you are expected to generate, the level of sustainability you're supposed to keep, and all of this will be tracked, so that we can see impact, you can see result, and can see progress.
Yeah, sure.
So, these are conversations I've had with some people who have spoken to me on this matter, and that we still have a pull in.
So on this one, this reliable funding source or a pool, would you want it from government, or it should come from any third party lender who would want to get into the space?
By the way, our government does not have the money anyway.
No, they do. They do. Why?
Kind of intervention.
No, they do.
Maybe unless it's coming from a Equesa government
Yeah,
agency.
yeah. So it will come from
who is
Equesa.
independent. Because once it comes from government sources, it always get diluted with politics and you never get the result.
Yeah, that's the point.
Right now, as a bank, some of the government interventions, it comes, we don't even want to access.
Yeah.
For example, Rural Enterprise Program was meant to target agriculture.
Oh yeah, you went to moving on because you call her now. Now based on
they would deduct you from source. Meanwhile, they had influence the end users and they have influence who access the loan. And if you put yourself in as a bank, you suffer the losses. But if it's coming from an independent quasi government agency which is not under influence of politics and anything, you do clear business. And therefore, you are certain, you are very sure you can manage the risk and you can get the result. So now, that wouldn't be bad. Yes.
Now, let's go to our final one, the future outlook and recommendations. I have jumped some of the questions because you don't have a tailored product. Most of the questions are not relevant Now, based on your experience, what recommendations would you make to improve access to finance for ASGM sector? And specifically, I am looking at what policy changes will benefit the ASGM sector financing.
Okay, so I think that basically understanding of the risk in ASM is not very clear to the financing community, the banks and the I'm not sure it's very strong there because like I'm saying, we try to understand from the miners' point of view what their risks are, so I think that can be improved. Some safeguards in terms of how we are managing the risks, because if an independent person finish mining, he can go and sell his gold and get his money and decide what to do with the money. Then if you are funding that, you have a difficulty. If he chooses not to bring the money to the bank, that's the end of you. So if there's a kind of a loop, something that we can set that once you're accessing funding from bank, this is how we track your business and we're able to see what you sell, what you produce and your outcomes and how money is generated and the money get paid and get through the banking system again and all of that. That could be also a game changer. And then I think that if, it's all about the options, because now it's becoming difficult for the banks to even invest in bills, in government securities, because of also the inherent risks in especially in Ghana. So if we are able to manage risks in these areas, banks will be more willing to invest their funds into this sector. But also cost of funds is quite high. So to manage that in that speech, we also need to work towards a deliberate intervention to reduce cost of lending to the sector. Except that we are confident that the sector is quite okay to contain that level of cost. These are areas that we can look at. Then when it comes to regulation, licensing regime, who has the right license to work, and what should the banks be looking at for? Because sometimes it get confusing. When it comes to, maybe it's also because of lack of the technical understanding.
Because they are there. They are all there.
So when it comes to assessing who qualifies to assess credit and all of that, I think it can also be.
No, so that one there, I think you need to build your capacity. Whether you would build the capacity of some of your credit staff in that area by letting them take some short courses in UMAT to understand some of these processes, or you would want to take a bull by the horn by employing one either mining engineer or geomatics engineer or geologist and then you make him a credit officer to work for General Credit. But because he has that understanding, he can also be used for the mining business as well. Okay. The next one: how can financial products be innovated to better serve the ASGM needs? How can financial products be innovated to better serve?
Okay, so you are looking more at developing products.
Yes.
Use that in, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so yes, we can do that with it shouldn't be developed like a bank product, so it should be developed like a mining product, right? So we need people with understanding from that sector together with people with understanding from finance and credit and risk management coming together to really create something that works for the banks, that works for the ASM sector. Like you're saying, that there are people with a good knowledge of the processes and how results turn out, and you know, the possibility of failures and success and all that. So all this can be factored into developing something that works for them. So similarly, when we are developing farmer products, we work with farmers, we work with agencies that serve farmers, and we get all their input together to be able to develop something that is suitable for farmers. So I think similarly, we can work with expertise, knowledge, let's say, from
Operators.
From your institution, was University of Mines and Technology. We can work with real miners who are doing the job. We can work with officials who have the regulatory knowledge, put all together and say that we want to create a product to serve this category. You end up bringing something that is really workable, because then you have the input of everybody in it. I think we can do that. It's something we haven't actually done as a bank. We have done bits and pieces based on our general understanding of risk in the area, but we really haven't come to creating a product that works for them.
Okay. So now the last one: what road do you see?
You have come to the last one like 3 times.
No, we are on the last one as the future outlook, but there were sub questions, so this is the final one.
Okay.
What role do you see technology doing in enhancing financial access to ASGM?
Technology there is going to be major. It's going to be really, 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 really major. So like one of the conversations that I said I've been part of it, we haven't really come to the conclusion, but it was going to use technology to track everything that happens from the lending to production to final output to sales to tracking market prices to everything. So each of the players can really see what is happening in the industry and who is doing what and what is turning out, what volume of sales is generated from each area of mining, ASM operations and all that. So technology would be very key, and that will give you a reliability of information. So if somebody is coming and say that they can do this, you really have a source that you can rely on. If you're assessing anybody from the industry, you really know what they are doing, because it's all captured by technology and it's accessible. It's a technology it's the game changer for that area. With regards to funding, it will be great.
Okay. So thank you very, very much, Dr. Asma, the CEO of Amenfi Bank, for this valuable insight you have shared with us. Enjoy your afternoon, sir.
Thank you, Doc. I appreciate your time also. Thank you for having us.
Welcome. Bye-bye.